Hello, my name is Mr. Nozzy and welcome once again to another Game Lock Tech review. Today we will be reviewing the Razer BlackWidow Ultimate Keyboard, which I have before me here. So I'm just going to quickly give you a quick list of all the specs again, just so you can familiarise yourself with those, and then we will move straight on into the review. So we have a full mechanical keyboard with 50-gram actuation force, individually backlit keys with 5 levels of lighting, 1000 Hz ultra polling with 1 millisecond response time, programmable keys with on-the-fly macro recording, game mode option for deactivation of the Windows key, 10 customizable software profiles with on-the-fly switching, 5 additional macro keys, gaming optimized key matrix for minimized ghosting, multimedia controls, braided cable, audio out / mic in jacks, and a USB pass-through. Okay, so I did just want to pay a brief bit of attention to the looks of the keyboard, and it's pretty simple in terms of its styling. It's pretty basic, but I think it does look really, really nice. As you can see here, you've got kind of straight lines, kind of blocky, but still very nice. Now, the only downside that I would say to this keyboard is that the shiny finish does tend to pick up fingerprints very easily. If I can just skim across here, you can probably see. Well, you might not be able to get such a good kind of feeling from this, but they do pick up fingerprints and dust really easily. Now, that doesn't really bother me. Some of you that may do, but it's only a slight down point. But, you know, I'm easy with that. Okay, so now onto the main feature of the keyboard, which is, of course, the mechanical keys. Now, they do give you a real sense of purpose when they are clicked. It does sound weird, but from moving to a regular keyboard to a mechanical, you will know what I mean. And they are really responsive. They have seemed to improve my typing skills somewhat. The tactile feedback really seems to help this, especially the audible click that you can hear there. And you really know that each letter has been typed, so that is really nice. Now, some reports on YouTube have stated that they've had problems with the left Alt key being pressed down when pressing down the spacebar. I have not had this problem. So this was the problem here. When you press the spacebar, the Alt key would be pressed down as well, as you can see here. No such issue, so they seem to have worked that one out. So that's pretty nice. Now, I do tend to find myself pressing the macro keys here instead of, so say, the Control, Shift, or Caps Lock key. So, for example, I don't know, so I just want to press Shift quickly. Your hand just almost tends to automatically drift to the outside of the keyboard, and that also kind of tends to be the macro keys. So you do kind of need to get used to that, and it can be a bit of a pain to begin with, but trust me, you do get used to it. So stick with that. Okay, so now moving on to the 5 lighting settings that we have, which I do really like, although I only find that we use one of them, but it is nice to have these 5 options. So basically, as you can see here, the first option is to have no lights on at all, which if you're going to do, you might as well just buy the normal BlackWidow keyboard, because, you know, the lighting feature is one of the nice things about the BlackWidow Ultimate. So like I said, this is the basic one with everything off. Then if you press the FN key, which is here, if I zoom in, I'll just show you guys which one that is. So you can see it has FN written on this one at the bottom here. That is basically the function key. So if you press the function key and then the light button, which you can find up here, it's basically a little icon of the sun, FN and that one. That brings on the darkest mode, which I feel is a pretty inadequate, really. You need to go brighter. So then you go one step up again, which is brighter, and lastly the brightest of the 3 settings, which is that one, which is pretty good. That's the one that I always basically put it on, but you'll find which one you like the most. And also finally you have the last one here. If I press, it should start glowing. There we go. So it goes off and back on again. Now, that one I find would be a little annoying if you're actually using the keyboard in the dark, say typing away and you suddenly can't find your keys. But, you know, it might be nice if you, say, walk away from your keyboard for a bit and you leave it glowing. But if it's in your room, then you're going to be the only one seeing it, so I don't really see much point to the glowing one, but still nice to have the option there anyway. Now, one problem that I do have is that, let me just switch these lights for a minute. One problem that I do have is that the secondary function of each key, say for example if I zoom in, you can see for example that the secondary functions such as the brackets and the @ symbols, they are not lit up at all. So that can be a little frustrating when you're typing away and you want to then find a secondary function on the keyboard. You can't find it if it's in the dark, and that is a little bit frustrating. It would be nice if they maybe put, even if it's just like something which makes the colour coming through a little less bright, you know, that would be appreciated. So that's something which is a little disappointing in my eyes. Now, also one other problem is that you have some lights over here in this corner which light up and tell you when the caps lock key is on, etc., and the num lock. Now, they aren't very bright on this video here. It does seem like it's a little brighter, but believe me, when you're seeing it with your own eyes, it isn't very bright at all. That could be something that they should fix, to be honest, as you kind of have to second guess whether it's working or not, but you know, something they could work on. Okay, so some of the other features on the keyboard are ones I do quite like and do come in handy at, you know, key times. Now, the first of these is that you can actually switch off the Windows key so that it can't be used. So if you're playing a game, you know, if you accidentally keep hitting the Windows button, which can be frustrating for some people, you can actually turn that off, which is quite nice. So if I zoom in, you can see this button up here, which has a little aim symbol and the G in the middle of it. If you press the function key and then hit that one, that means that the Windows key now will not work. And you can also tell that it's not going to be working if you look on the keyboard. That green symbol is now on. Again, if I were to turn it off, it switches itself off. So that's just another nice little feature that I think can come in really handy. One thing that I do really dislike, if I can just move the keyboard over here, yes, and I did say dislike, is this USB pass-through for example, headphones, which you can see just here. Now, that is extremely annoying for me, as basically my mouse and my mouse mat sit very close to my keyboard, and the USB extension basically pokes over where the mouse is. So I don't know why they haven't put it on the other side. It's just, I don't know, it's just incredibly a stupid place to put it. Why not put it on the other side where there's not going to be anything next to it? They should really swap that round. I don't know, it's just something that really gets on my nerves if you haven't already noticed. One of the extra other features that I do like is the fact that you can allow every key on the keyboard to be reallocated to another key binding, or to a macro, or to another function. Now, I will go through this next and I will show you the software on how to do that. Okay, so here we have the Razer BlackWidow Ultimate software, and this is a lot better than most of the other Razer software that I've encountered for their products. This loads quickly without any hassle whatsoever, unlike the Razer Mava software, which takes an infinite amount of time to load. So, you know, well done to Razer for sorting some of their software out. So basically here we can see we've got 3 tabs at the top. The first one we have is assign keys, and this lets you pick a profile that you have created for a game or a program, and then assign keys to macros that you've created, or to launch programs, or, you know, put in large blocks of text, or switch the current profile that you're in. So that's really handy. So say, for example, I'm in Battlefield 3 here. I wanted to assign a macro that I've created to Q. You click Q, and then you can choose one of these things here. So if it was a macro, I'd hit macro, and then you've got a list to basically choose the macros that you've created. So that's, you know, very easy, all pretty easy to do. And if you have clicked Q and you don't want to do anything with it, then you just hit default key like so, and it goes back to normal. So that's pretty simple. And like I said, if you want to do that for any of the profiles, you just simply highlight it there. And you can already see which ones you created macros for, because they're already highlighted in a green, and it will tell you what macro has been assigned to it. So that macro key there has been assigned to Eve to launch the program. So that is all really, really handy. Now, the next tab is the Manage Profiles tab. Now, this lets you choose to show an on-screen display when switching. So that will come up in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen here to tell you what profile you switch to. And it also allows you to auto-switch between programs when it started. So you don't necessarily have to manually do it. It will do it for you automatically. So that's pretty handy as well. And just to create a new one, you create new. Yeah, that's all incredibly easy to do and pretty self-explanatory. Now, the final tab is the Manage Macros tab. And this lets you create macros using the software. And basically, this is where you want to create macros if they're complicated and they've got a lot of text to them. If you want to do it, if you want to create short macros, say 1 key macros, then you can do that on the fly with the on the fly system, which you can use on the keyboard, which I will show you in a minute. But to basically create a macro, all you have to do, I will just demonstrate it for you quickly. Hit new and create name, so I can do. Let's create some text. Say hello. Right, so I hit hello and then I hit record, and it will start recording anything I type on the keyboard. So I type hello, and then you click stop to stop again. Oh no, I didn't. You want to click the stop button, not the record button. You can see it's actually recorded the left click button there. So basically, this is quite clever because it does show you if you have gone wrong, which is very handy. That's also good. And you can also change the intervals between when the letters are typed from the macros that you've created, or you can do it instantaneously. So I hope this has given you some idea of the software. Now I'm just going to show you how the on the fly works on the keyboard. Okay, so basically when you have a particular profile that is activated for the keyboard, you can record on the fly macros for that particular profile. Say for example you had Photoshop open and you wanted to record a new save button. All you have to do is simply press the F and Alt button to turn on the macro function up here in the top right. You can see that little handy indicator. Then you have to take the original assigned keys and set them. So you say, for example, the save key was Control-Shift-S. Then after you use the old settings, you press F and Alt. And that now starts flashing. So basically, when it starts flashing, you press the key that you want to assign that function to. So now I want the save button to be Q, and it switches off. So that has now been assigned. So that's all pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and that does come, you know, really in handy if you just want to change things very quickly without having to use the software. So basically, to conclude, this keyboard is an excellent mechanical keyboard. For what it is in its main use, being mechanical, it does work really well. You have fast response times, an excellent key system that works really, really well. There are, like I said, there are some features that need tweaking, such as, for example, you know, the indication lights in the top corner. Placing of the macros could be spaced out a little better, so you're not pressing them on an accident, and also the backlighting of the alt uses of each key. They are something which could be fixed. But the fact that you can use the software with the keyboard separately to set macros, along with being able to reassign any key, means that there's a great deal of flexibility to this keyboard. Now this will be pretty hard to beat when searching around for its competitors. And the only other negative side is that it's quite heavy, which means for those of you who like moving your keyboard around a lot to find the most comfortable position, it may get a little bit annoying. Nevertheless, this is a small price to pay for an excellent piece of kit. So yeah, that is the review of the Razer BlackWidow Ultimate Keyboard. I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope you've got something from it. Remember to like the video if you do like it, and dislike if you do dislike. Again, we'd like to hear all your comments, so please comment down below and let us know what you think. And also be sure to check out our Facebook and Twitter pages. So that's basically it. I will see you guys later for another review. See you later, guys.